Hello friends, have a good time. We are at your service with Shabnamah. In the past days, various reports about the war in Ukraine, and the crisis that somehow involved Europe in the battle between NATO and Russia, have been published in the media. I would like to read a report for you. This report is from an American base, in which an American journalist emphasized this, that we should be ashamed of what happened in Ukraine. Sir, I have a question. Now, in the case of Ukraine, didn't Russia invade Ukraine? Russia has attacked Ukraine. Or am I making a mistake? Russia got up one day and attacked Ukraine. That all the world's media said that what the Russians did was wrong. Then the leader of Iran came and gave a speech and said that, in this matter that happened, America is to blame. Sir, how come America is to blame? These attacked. Now let's go back to today. Hasn't Russia attacked? Why does this journalist say that we should be ashamed? Why does Henry Kissinger say that America is guilty when he speaks? Okay, sir, Russia attacked. Then, you all attacked in that period of time, when the leader of Iran said this. Now you are saying the same. Yes, all of them are saying the same thing. Because America is guilty of what happened. And it is creating catastrophes, which will manifest themselves in the future. We want to go and read a report together. A wonderful report written by an American base. This report was written for the headquarters of the Quincy think tank in Washington, D.C. In the report, he raised a point, which I read to you before. 15 think tanks are American. It has been determined that these 15 think tanks are receiving money from the American arms manufacturing centers. Behold, you imagine, there is a decision-making room in your country, which, the money of that think tank, is given by a center, weapons manufacturing. It is possible, for example, this decision-making room, make a decision for your officials, or make a proposal to them, that this decision will cause this smoke and fire to rise somewhere in the world. It's true. Why is it not possible? When he is getting his money from the weapons makers, there may be a discussion. Sir, for example, the Taliban has come to Afghanistan, should we enter or not? Sir, tell us to enter, let's finish it, and go away. We went to Syria and other places. Afghanistan is right next to our ears. Let's go and attack here, let's go. No. Attack here, the story just begins. The media is above your head. People who see themselves as a part of Iran know what to do. They see a part of the common civilization area with Iran. They see a part of a common history. They should be sure that you have occupied their country. The media above is the head of this game. They did not give up the game. Okay. Here, if you eat the game of this model of decision makers, you will go to the story where he makes money selling weapons. But your country will suffer. Now, the example I gave about Afghanistan was really an example. There is nothing behind what I said. I wanted to say something that would be clearly understood by you. Let me give a close example, so that we can simulate. With this example that we gave, and it clarified the story a lot, let's take a look at the American atmosphere. He says that, when think tanks take money from decision makers, one of the risks is that the media may monitor them and repeat their words. Now this point that he says is very interesting. He says, the probability that a media in America will fall into the tour of think tanks related to weapons manufacturers is 7 times more than in other parts of the world. Look, one of the ways you can manage people's minds is to create different media for people to produce content. It's true. We have no compliments. The West, and many Western media, in the Persian language space, are now saying these things about Iran. That the government of Iran has created such media in order to be able to manage the space. It is not very complicated. After all, every system needs it somewhere. Where is the point? The point is that you go to any of these American media in the Persian language space. They believe that the media space in America is completely free. It can't be wrong. Space is free. But when the sources were bought by the arms manufacturers, in this free space, and the open space, we finally get to the solutions that the arms manufacturers have. In other fields, it can be like this. We come to the solutions that some group wants to propose. Some stream wants to make an offer. This thing we are talking about cannot be freedom of the media anymore. Freedom here is a cover. If we leave this cover aside, by the way, media tyranny is what has ruled the atmosphere of this country. We are really witnessing it in America. He says, this is 7 times more than other parts of the world. It is possible that you take a news and work on it in your own media, and you got it from a place where that news source got its money from the arms dealer. You can have hope from the news that you work, and the atmosphere that is formed, and the understanding that society finds that a fire should be ignited in a part of the world where the American decision-maker can make money from it. Is it other than this? We are reading the same thing. Let's go to see the continuation. He says, regarding the issues of war and peace, there is really no alternative voice in the American media. He says, he conquered everything and left. All have been bought. And this only shows that the American media, to what extent they shape the opinions and views of their audience, through relying on think tanks and quoting them. Citing one case as an example, he says that several American think tanks came and published articles about the war in Ukraine. When you read these, he says, sir, why don't they try to destroy these Russians? Go smash it. Take whatever money we have and give it to Zelensky. Why don't you fill Zelensky's stomach, finish this game and go? He says, when think tanks have these, they say, they are exactly publishing the logic, and they are exactly saying things that one of the prominent U.S. defense contracts, which is benefiting from the war in Ukraine, it has already raised this. He says, people in America don't know that this word is the same person. And he is providing them. And they are repeating this too. When you go to the bottom of society, they say, war, war, until Zelensky's victory. They don't understand what the real story is. He says that this space has made it impossible for people to get unbiased information. Or if they come across information that appears to be unbiased, it is contaminated by a series of special interests, and it misleads people. That is why, we are witnessing, the American mainstream media is constantly beating the drum of war. And they want more intervention, sending more weapons to Ukraine. Put yourself in the place of the arms manufacturers in America for a moment. You have gone far away from all over the world. You are far away from different countries. That is, if a war happens, you will suffer less than others. And if you get hurt, the hurt of your society is that it doesn't feel the war, in the streets of Washington, New York, etc. And his mind is calm. It is not like a Ukrainian who quickly sees the shadow of war. It's not like Russia, like Iranian, Chinese, French, Italian, who quickly sees the shadow of war and says, oh, what a disaster is happening. I wish they finish it. No. At all, in America, people do not understand this. They are busy with themselves and the weapons maker has time to make weapons in this safe environment which is far from the world. And anywhere in the world they wanted to take and say that this is the center of evil, and attack. Attack Afghanistan, attack Iraq, attack Ukraine. Where is the point? He says that they are introducing Putin as Hitler in the recent period of time. Not only in America, but even in European countries. Then, he says, in the narrative they are presenting about Putin, they say that he is Hitler, who wants to conquer Eastern Europe. Now a question. If a new Hitler comes and wants to conquer Eastern Europe, I can prove it to you, and you are in Eastern Europe, what would you say? You say, sir, send as many weapons as you can. What kind of ridiculous game is this? Man, Hitler came out of the grave again. Then, you sit and look at it. Why don't you send weapons? Send guns, sir. We ourselves wear war clothes and fight with him. It's true. He is managing them very nicely. He says, we went and checked, we saw that they are introducing Putin in this way. It is a propaganda game, along with other propaganda that aims to strengthen this view. Pay attention. It's not the whole story. He says, besides this, they say, this is Hitler, he is coming to conquer Eastern Europe, but there is a United States that is very benevolent and can inflame Ukraine by sending weapons to the war in such a way that this Hitler is involved in his own gang there. Did you pay attention to how he arranged the scenario? The gunmaker paid his money to introduce it as Hitler, and to introduce himself as a hero. Then, he says, I am a hero. How can I defend you? How do you like I will sell you a gun? Myself. No. I am not coming to fight. I will sell you a gun. Now, one of the issues that Ukrainians are raising is this. That, part of the weapons they sell to us are good expensive weapons. But in the battle scene, this particle did not affect the developments of the battle scene. What is the reason? The reason is, he wants to sell guns. Now in this period of time, his profit is in the sale of weapons. A benefit that he used for 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. The effects on our economy will remain. Look at Europe. Now the comrades who are in Europe, many of them. When I look at the comments, that person says something, before, for example. The war in Ukraine was like this, and after that, it was like this. Made an impact. It left an impression in a way that, for example, our friends, from the one who lives in London and says in the comments, until we reach the one who is in France, Sweden. 20 years close to our ears, they did this. That, what will happen? To sell his weapons, to take their benefits, to dominate our region, to attack us. Does his society understand this? No. His society looked at the media, and that media is now introducing Putin as Hitler. At that time, they said, for example, Iran is the center of evil. All those around him are evil. Sir, let's go and collect the fitna. Let's take a gun and collect this fitna. Let's read it further. The story becomes more beautiful. When we examine its continuation, the story becomes much more bearable. He says, the main issue here is that, if you want to talk about this in the United States, we should move towards dialogue and peace and reducing American military aid. It doesn't add up, people, and that logic is effectively suppressed by the American media. And at the same time, they come, about anything you want to present, and explain, and say, if America helps prolong this war, it has certain consequences for the world. It has for Ukraine, it has for Europe, it has for America itself. If you want to explain this, they will suppress you, and they will not let the public understand it. Let's see the continuation. Furthermore, no one questions the dangers of sending cluster munitions to the Ukrainian military, or the shipments of depleted uranium munitions that the U.S. has previously approved sending from Britain. Or no one has any objection that such things are being done. Now, where is the discussion? Most of the things he is saying will show their effects in the long run in Ukraine itself. Did you notice what happened? Some of these, for example, 20 years later, now, we knew about it until the previous years. Thanks God. It's much less now. For example, a shepherd lost his leg at a border point. Why? A landmine left over from the imposed war has exploded. The report says that, part of the weapons it is sending, there, and used by the Ukrainians, it will remain, and in the future, it will take casualties on both sides. Let's go check together. He says that the type of weapons they send can basically cover large areas of Ukraine and Russia, not just Russia. Because it is part of the battle in his own country. If he has these at all, he will destroy them. Under the pretext of arms sales, it can poison a large part of Ukraine, as well as Russia, and irreversibly damage those areas, and cause many deaths among civilians. The Biden administration is talking about sending cluster bombs to Ukraine as part of a future aid package. This is how the cluster bomb works, unlike traditional ammunition. When it explodes, it releases a series of smaller bombs that spread over a wide area. Now what is the summary of his speech? He says, in a battle, these cluster bombs can help a blow to infantry forces. Or their progress will be reduced. But here is the main problem. And the reason why they banned cluster bombs at the international level, they said, this is a war crime, that's the reason. This is very harmful for civilians in any area where ammunition is used, and it is gradually hidden underground. Because there is no guarantee that all these cluster munitions will explode immediately. He says, not all of it explodes, and a part of it remains. The wind comes, the rain comes, it hides in the ground. And a place remains out of sight, and years later, someone wants to pass by, this disaster happens. Therefore, the approach of the Joe Biden government in showing that this war is being fought by the Ukrainians on behalf of the Ukrainian democracy and to protect the people of Ukraine. It will be a disgrace to the United States and a source of shame for this country. I will not continue. I just want to tell you one thing. Many in the Western world, and many in America, about the Ukraine issue, contrary to what the media say, and based exactly on the logic of the Iranian leader, which he brought up very quickly in those first days, many people are thinking based on it. They don't dare to say it at all. The media does not allow them to speak at all. No matter how it is expressed. The tyranny of the media does not allow its thoughts to sit down and think about this logic and consider this to be true. This is what is happening in the West. Many people, in our region, thought like us about issues. It was painful for them to accept. Years passed, the developments in the region went in the direction that they came, to negotiation. They realized that, no. This is the right way. Our problem was like this. Why we had this wrong, we understand. Why were we involved in war in the region? We should have talked with Iran. Regarding extra-regional issues, many people have the same model of understanding as what we are saying here. These words are not illusions. It is not fiction. We did not bring it from the same sky and from another place. This is based on the truth. Many times they understood, they are not able to express it. And soon the others who did not understand will also understand it. Be a little patient. We go further, in a special way. Those things that we see will reveal the truths. I think that's enough. I don't have any other points. If you have any points, please send them in the form of a message. It will help this report to be more complete with your message. Dear friends, I am very sincere. I have a lot of devotion. Have a good time.